fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Shodo XX Kamen Rider 01. So this is the new line of Shodo figures. Previously we had the Shodo X line, which I think went for 15 waves, and now they have kind of rebranded as Shodo XX, boasting more articulation and things like that. So I'm really excited to take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and pop the box open here so you can see the case assortment. And we can begin to take a look at who is in this wave. So we have Black RX, get a second Black RX. We have Kuuga Mighty Form, second Kuuga Mighty Form. Then we get a Kuuga Rising Mighty Form. We get 01 with a duplicate of him. And then we get Metal Cluster Hopper. And then we have the extra accessory pack. So it looks like all told you get 3 duplicates. But it's still a pretty good assortment here. Really excited for this. We just had Wave 3 revealed. I know I'm a little behind, but Wave 3 looks amazing, and I think I have Wave 2 ordered, but it isn't in yet. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think this is going to be a really cool line. I know there's a lot of ones we've kind of already seen before. We've gotten so many different Black and Black RXs, and these guys were both in the X line and came with their bikes, but these should have better articulation. I know they have this kind of foot swivel or foot pivot, whatever you want to call that. Articulated toes, I guess we'll go with. So just to show off some of the boxes here real quick. And then here is Kuuga Mighty Form. And then we have Rising Mighty. And the nice thing about Shodo figures is they're completely painted, so you don't have any sticker applications. And if you guys know me, that's a big selling point because I hate putting stickers on these little figures. And then here's the full lineup over here on the side. So here is Metal Cluster Hopper. And last but certainly not least, we have the accessory pack, which is all the weapons and everything. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and get all these guys out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here they are out of the boxes. We'll start over here on the left with Black. So like I said before, there are no stickers that you have to apply. You literally just grab them out of the box, attach the head, and then attach the hands. And there are, of course, several hand options that I'll show off in a minute. But it's a pretty good looking figure. Unfortunately, the stripes do kind of stop at the midway point. You can see it especially here on the cuffs, which is a bit of a bummer. But other than that, it's a pretty solid figure. Really nice paint on the helmet there. You have a ball joint at the base of the skull. And then I think there's some movement at the base of the neck as well. But it's kind of hard to get one to move and not the other. So it's kind of hard to demonstrate. But you do have points of articulation there. You have a ball joint in the shoulder, so we can move that around. You can see that the shoulder pad kind of just lifts up. It is attached to the torso. You have a bicep swivel. You have 90 degrees there in the elbow, and of course you can move the fists all around because they just peg in, so you can just pop these out, pop them back in, spin them around, whatever you'd like to do. You have a torso ball joint there, kind of in the abdomen section, as well as like a waist ball joint. You have the driver very nicely painted, but again, the belt doesn't go all the way around. You have a connection here for a stand. You have a ball joint here in the hip, as well as a thigh swivel. I would say over 90 degrees there in the knee. And then you have a ball joint in the ankle, as well as the little kind of toe crunch, I guess I'll call it for lack of a better term, articulated toes. I'll be honest, I know this is a big selling point for a lot of people, and it's fine, I don't mind having it. It's not a huge selling point to me personally. I don't really pose figures using that joint very often, but hey, it's there, so if that's something that is very meaningful to you, it's arrived and it is available. But it's still a good looking figure. Like I said, this guy just had a release not too long ago in the X line with his bike, so if you already have that release, maybe you can skip this one. If not, it's definitely a great figure and definitely worth checking out. Let me show off real quick the hands. So basically how it works is most of these come with 8 hands. And they don't come with stands like Shodo does, but they have these little like hand storage lockers here, for lack of a better term. But it's basically just a rectangular piece of plastic with 6 holes so you can attach the hands here. And you have to be careful because the peg holes for the right hands are slightly larger than the left hands. And I believe they do that on purpose so that you don't put hands in the wrong spot. Alright, I think I must have... It's kind of hard to figure out where things are supposed to go. So I'm just going to move these around. Because sometimes they give you more right hands than left. And as a result, one of the rows will have 2 right hand spots and no left hand spot. But you can see here basically, you get a set of closed fists. You get a set of kind of open hands. And then you have any kind of stylized hand. So this, I believe, is actually for Black RX. I believe that's for his Henshin pose. Let me see if I can figure out which set was for Black here. That's the other problem. Once you just kind of have them like in a bin or something, it's very easy to forget who goes with what because they're all very much the same. But at the same token, you can then mix and match hands and use hands for whoever you want. They should all work. The only ones that are very obvious are Metal Cluster Hopper because those are all nicely painted silver. But we'll get back to that in a moment. So tons of hand options. If they have iconic poses like Kuuga's thumbs up, of course that's included. Otherwise, you basically get kind of like a closed set of hands, fists, maybe like open for grasping weapons and like kind of like more open for posing. A lot of great options for the hands there. So next up we have Black RX. And he's looking really good. The matte finish they gave, all the kind of green parts of the armor looks really, really nice. I like that a lot. He's a little wobbly. As you can see, that might just be mine. I think it's this like piece in the hips. It's not a big deal though. Helmet looks good. I will say that the neck connection at the base of the helmet is like very far back in the helmet. So you can't really have him look up at all, but he can kind of look down a little bit more. Really nice paint there on the helmet. Again, you have the shoulder pads connected to the torso. So they just kind of lift up out of the way for whatever poses you need. Otherwise, the articulation's pretty much the same. He doesn't have 2 ball joints in the torso, though. He just has that kind of waist ball joint. Because of the way his armor is, they didn't put one in the midsection. Otherwise, you can kick out to the side, kick forward, thigh swivel. Got that same knee joint, have the same ball joint at the ankle, and then that same bend at the toe. And he does come with, well, I shouldn't say he comes with, but if you have the extra box of weapons, we get the Revel cane here. So it's not actually in the box with him. It's in the accessory box, which is a separate box. But nicely painted. You can see the red there. And there's kind of a, almost like a periwinkle blue, I guess, for the actual blade. When I first saw it in the bag inside the box, I didn't think it was painted at all because just kind of seeing it from far away, it almost looks all gray. But it is a very soft blue for the blade. But yeah, really looks good. And like I said, he comes with 6 extra hands as well. So he looks pretty nice. He's another one that just had a release in Shodo X not too long ago with his bike. But again, if you don't have that release, this is a nice option. He doesn't want to stand for me now. There we go. Alright, up next we have Kuuga. And I don't think Kuuga has had a Shodo release since Versus. I could be wrong about that, but I think they didn't do him in the Shodo X line because he was in the Shodo Chronicle line around the same time, and I think they didn't want to do them so close together. So I think this is his first release since Versus, but I'm not 100% about that. He is lucky enough to have the gold cuffs go all the way around, which I do appreciate. On both the arms and the legs, so they didn't stop that halfway. Driver, not so lucky, but that's okay. He's got a lot of great paint. I mean, this like metallic cherry red is amazing and just goes all the way around. They couldn't skimp on that. You have that gold on the helmet that kind of stops at the halfway point, but again, not that big a deal. So he's got pretty much all the same articulation as the others. He kind of has... Yeah, there we go. I can get it to move. So he does have kind of a ball joint right where the armor stops, and then another one at the actual waist. And then I would say from the legs down, all that articulation is the same. But yeah, very nicely painted. Looks great. Giving the thumbs up there. Classic Kuuga. Gotta love that. But it's a really nice figure. And like I said, that metallic red just really looks absolutely beautiful. So next up we have Kuuga Rising Mighty. Which, if I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure that they're using all the same pieces. It's just what they decided to paint. You can see all the molding is exactly the same. They just didn't paint the gold here or here for him, which is fine. I get it. I mean, they're going to reuse parts where they can. So you have all that gold trim, and like I said, it all goes all the way around. They didn't skimp and stop halfway, which I really appreciate. And the metallic and gold just looks so beautiful. Head looks great. I think that's exactly the same head. Yeah, I believe that's exactly the same. But that makes sense. And then he's got the gold, extra gold down here on the shin. Otherwise, exactly the same articulation. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's 90% the same as the normal Kuuga, just with a little bit more paint. Obviously, the driver's a little different. Is the driver actually different, or is it just painted different? No, the driver is different. Okay, good. I was afraid they just kind of painted it. So yeah, a little bit different molding in the driver. I would say all of this is pretty much the same, just painted differently. And then that extra bit of molding here. So probably from the knee down is a separate new piece. But like I said, I get it. You know, they want to reuse pieces where they can to keep costs down. And it's still a beautiful looking figure. Very nicely painted. And like I said, I really appreciate that they did not skimp on that gold and committed to doing it all the way around. I think that's a really big deal. All right, so now we're getting to my personal two favorite of the wave. We have the 201 forms, which this is just amazing. I mean, first of all, this is the first time we've ever seen 01 in Shodo. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've really seen anything 01 since the Shodo line that came out while the show was airing. But this is a beautiful suit, and they have really done it justice. You can see all of the texture molded in. It's just absolutely incredible. It really looks fantastic. I mean, the head is beautifully painted. The chest plate here, the driver, and like I said, all this actually like has texture to it. That's all molded in. And it just makes the suit look so incredible. They've just done a really, really beautiful job here. He's got pretty much all the same articulation. Got that head at the bottom of the helmet, as well as the base of the neck. Again, shoulder pads connected to the torso, so they just kind of move out of the way. Arms are all the same. He's got a ball joint here at kind of the bottom of the armor, as well as the waist. Hips, thighs swivel, knees, ankles, toes, so everything you'd expect. But just absolutely beautifully painted, and I really just can't get over all of that suit texture that they molded in. It's really just, it's fantastic. I mean, that was something that didn't make it into the Shodo figure, and I wish I had that handy so I could do a comparison, but I mean, this is just, if I were, like, that it was fine for Shodo, don't get me wrong, but because it had stickers and it didn't really have the ability to mold everything in, like, the texture on this, I still keep mentioning it, but it's kind of blowing me away how good this looks. I think this is my favorite of this wave. Metal Cluster Hopper is a very close second. We'll get to him in a moment, but I've always loved this suit, and they have just done an absolutely beautiful job with this. Really, really very cool. Now, he does come with some, doesn't come with in the box, but there are some 01 weapons included. I'm going to see if I can find, which one was his? Probably not that. I need a grasping hand. Here we go. This should work. So let me switch it out with a grasping hand here. Are these actually at the back of the hands molded? Not really. Alright. I mean, some of them might be. That might be a hint. Because like I said, after a while, these all start to look the same, I'll be honest. But so we'll give him a grasping hand. Okay, so I have to remember the name of this thing. This is the On-Rise Buster in the Axe mode. Now, I know he usually used this when he was Rising Hopper, I think. But they still included it here. I don't know if that's a hint that maybe we're going to get some more 01 forms in the future. But we do have the axe here, which he can wield. And this is in the special extra parts box. That looks very good. Of course, we have the attached caliber, which looks phenomenal. It's a really nice length. If I can get this into his hand here. There we go. So I love this. I think this looks great. I mean, yes, it would have been nice to have the little bit of the yellow paint on it, but it's fine. They gave us some silver on the blade, so I'll forgive it. But yeah, that looks really, really sharp as well. And then he also has, well, I guess I'll save that for Metal Cluster Hopper. I'll leave him with this weapon. And then let's go ahead and dive into Metal Cluster Hopper. This figure also has a ridiculous amount of molded texture, but also has an amazing amount of silver paint. Now, I would assume, were they able to reuse? Not really. I would say this is a completely... I was trying to see if they were able to reuse maybe like the hip joints, maybe. But I would say that this is all new molding. I was wondering if they're able to reuse some from 01. But this guy looks amazing. So not only does he have that crazy molded texture, as I mentioned, the paint's just off the charts. I mean, this is a phenomenal looking figure. It was a little difficult attaching the head for this guy. But it worked out, and it's fine now. So you have that nice ball joint there at the base of the helmet. I think he also has movement at the base of the neck, but I couldn't... Actually, he might not. That might be solid. I can't tell. Like I said, when you're moving the head around, it's really hard to tell if you're moving this joint or this joint. But either way, you can get pretty much all the articulation you would need out of the head here. Again, shoulder pads are connected to the... torso here. These don't have a lot of give, though. I will say these kind of limit the arm articulation because they're larger, bulkier, and a little bit more solid and situated here, so they do hinder a little bit. Not a big deal, but they do hinder a little bit. Otherwise, you have the bicep swivel, the elbow, the hands. You definitely have the two joints here and here, ball joints there. Otherwise, waist, thigh swivel, knees, ankles, toes, all the same. But he looks great. He really, really does. So we have a few more accessories for him. We have the... Now let me remember this name too. It's been a minute since I've seen 01. This is the Progrise Hopper Blade. Progrise... Yes, Progrise Hopper Blade. So a little bit of nice metallic blue there. And then, of course, he can hold it there. Or... we can take the attached caliber. This piece will pop out, and it's a little difficult, I'll be honest, because they've painted them, and I believe they're painted on top of black plastic, so they kind of had to cake it on a decent amount to get the yellow to show up. It makes the connections very snug and a little difficult, so just be a little careful with that. But we can take this little connector piece here. Let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. You can plug this in here. And then we can go ahead and plug this in to the back of the attached caliber. It's a little snug, but it can be done. And then there you go. Then you have the combined form. So that's really cool. That's a really nice attention to detail. That you can either have the two weapons by themselves, or you can combine them with this special connector piece. So I love that. I think that's really, really well done. And then the last two accessories, which are kind of cool, I can't really fully utilize them. Hold on, stand 01. Let me put this off to the side. So you get these two, like they call them cluster cells. Basically in the show, when someone would like fire something at him, he would kind of materialize these and like have them move around and use as shields. So if you have a stand piece, they do have little connectors here on the back. So if you have some clear plastic stands, I'm not sure if they'll work with Shodo stands. Do I have one handy? Yes, I do. All right, let's see. I got a shimmy. It's sitting over here. Let's see if they'll work with this. Oh, they will. Okay, cool. I mean, it's not as glamorous because, you know, it's a black plastic stand instead of a clear plastic stand, so you're not really getting the illusion that this is hovering in space. But, hey, you can use Shodo stands if you'd like. And then these are supposed to kind of, you know, he materializes them around as shields. So I think that's kind of neat. It's a very basic little accessory, but it's kind of cool, and you get 2 of those, so I appreciate that as well. Let me put this back off over here. So this is an amazing set. I mean, I'll be honest. I think they did a really nice job. I was a little bummed at first that they had a lot of repeat characters, especially these 2 over here, just because they had just happened in the Shodo X line. And so I was like, why are we doing them again so quickly? But I guess it makes sense. We have Black Sun coming out. You know, they're fan favorite riders, so I get it to a certain degree. But I was a little bummed that we were getting kind of rehashes so quickly. Kuuga makes a little bit more sense. You know, he hasn't been done since Versus, and they could get 2 figures out of 1 because they're so similar, so I get that. And they both look really good. But over here, this is what I'm really most excited about. I'm very excited when they do characters and forms that we haven't seen in Shodo. Like, there has been no Shodo 01 at all so far. And they've done a really great job with these. That's why, by far and away, these 2 are my favorite of the set. And that's not to put down the other 4. They're also great. But I'm just very excited because this is kind of super brand new. We've never had 01 in Shodo before, and they really nailed it. They both look fantastic. The amount of molded detail for the texture in those suits, the amount of paint applications, the accessories. I mean, I'll be honest, that extra parts box, with the exception of the Revel Cane, is entirely 01 accessories, which is great. I mean, Kuuga doesn't really have many accessories for this form anyway, so I think that makes total sense. But yeah, this is a great set. I mean, if nothing else, I would say at least get these 2 and the extra parts box. If you feel like you already have this represented enough in your collection, I can totally understand that. But definitely at least pick up these 2. I mean, honestly, I would recommend picking them all up. But like I said, I can totally understand if you feel like you have this covered already. But definitely at least grab these 2. They're fantastic. The next wave is very double heavy, and I feel like we just kind of did that in Shodo Chronicle. I mean, I say just, I'm sure it's been 5 years. Time has no meaning anymore. But I really get excited when we're doing new stuff that hasn't been done in a long time. They just showed off Wave 3, which is going to have Kiva and Ghost stuff. Eeks is in there. I'm super blown away by that. So that's what kind of made me want to go, hey, I have a box of Wave 1. Let's go check those out. So that's kind of why this video happened. But yeah, these are great. Definitely love these. Kind of excited for Wave 2, but super excited for Wave 3. So can't wait for those. But in the meantime, track these down. I definitely think they're worth your time. Really well done. Really nicely painted. And hey, guys, no stickers. And that's really what it's all about. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.